Hello there. It is of my opinion that bicycle drivetrain peaked somewhere around 9 speed. That's because during that era, the 9-speed drivetrain offered us the perfect balance between both precision, reliability, but still offered quite a wide gearing range. If you were a gravity-oriented rider, you had a 1x drivetrain with a chain tensioner or a chain device. If you were riding in what we would, today called enduro, you would ride a 2x9. And if you were a cross-country racer, you would ride 3x9. Moreover, on the road side of things, you had both 2 and 3 ring setups to choose from. And on top of that, there was still compatibility, at least in the world of Shimano, between mountain and road rear derailleurs, so you could mix and match drivetrains as you wished, essentially getting you whatever you want. Well, it's cheap, it's reliable, and it's widely available still. But there is always that one thing you have to note. While you could always use a road derailleur if you wanted to ride a short cage derailleur on a mountain bike during the 9-speed era, when shadow derailleurs came about, and shadow meant better chain retention, we still didn't have clutches, your only option on the mountain side of things, where you wanted something robust, was to buy a Saint. And Saint is quite expensive. But was it really? You see, the hero of today's video is a little thing that Shimano released quite some time ago, and most of you probably never heard of it, even though it is perfect replacement for a 9-speed Saint, and recently I've got one, finally. The hero of our video today is a short cage Shimano Caprio rear derailleur you probably never heard of, although you should, because this is essentially Z before Z was a thing. I've gotten this one a few days ago, rather cheaply, without the pullays, and as you can already see, I installed the pullays from Shimano Dior RD M6000. I just used the tip which I shared with you a few weeks ago. So, let's install it, let's see how it performs, at least on the stand, or on a hook, really. So this is the hero of our video today, the RD F800 SS rear derailleur, where I put the pullays from RD M6000 GS for the taller teeth, because I'm following the tip I have shared with you some time ago. If you know how the 9-speed offerings from Shimano went, you'll know that this cage was reserved for Saint, because essentially it is the same cage. The body, however, the parallelogram, is more reminiscent of an SLX, because the knuckles here are both aluminum. The main front plate is aluminum, however the back plate is steel, which means that this was either Dior or SLX level. I can't really remember, I don't have any examples here. However, if we compare this to this 786 XT, apart from a longer cage, we can already note that the rear knuckle, or the rear lever, is aluminum on the XT, and it is steel on this one. So this one is obviously lower quality. If we put it on a scale, it comes up at 230 grams, which in honesty isn't bad. Now if we compare it to the XT is obviously a bit heavier, but the XT has a clutch, so it should be heavier. Besides, the cage is also a bit longer. You can notice here that while this derailleur was meant for a 9-26 cassette, which was the unique part about Caprio, because if you don't know, Caprio is a group meant for folding bicycles, which usually have a smaller wheels, so in order to compensate, Shimano was offering a special cassette fitting to a special driver, which started from a 9-tooth cork and ended at 26. This was to compensate for a smaller wheel. Anyhow, while this derailleur was meant to be used on a 9-26 cassette, we can already see that there was quite a bit of rehashing by Shimano, because if you look at the parallelogram slant, it is the same as the XT. Slant is the angle at which the parallelogram follows the curvature of the cassette. which means that this derailleur is simply rehashing some mountain parts. So how did Shimano achieve this feat that they made it somewhat compatible to the narrow range cassette? Obviously, they rehashed the trick they used on Saint, however this one, on this derailleur, it is permanent. Compare the billings on these two derailleurs. This is the XT, this is the Caprio, and if you note that the tab which rests on the hanger of the derailleur is in a different position. Here it puts the derailleur slightly at a different angle, which makes it fall on the native 11 to 34 cassette. However, on this one, if you can note here, it is higher, which rotates the derailleur slightly counterclockwise, which makes it follow the narrow range cassette. This is the same thing that's available on the Saint with the mode converter, which is a little tab here, which you can either add here to make it compatible with 36 or 34, or you remove it and the derailleur is theoretically compatible with 11 to 28, or in this particular case 9 to 26. Okay, a little explanation. This is my winter commuter. It is a LE Twins style mountain bike. It is built on a Merida big airframe. You probably have seen glimpses of it on the channel. It is currently set up as a 2x9 with an 1126 SRAM cassette, which essentially is garbage. It's used up and I'm going to be replacing it. That's why I bought the cassette and then I bought the derailleur. And currently I am using a short-caged Shimano neck save, but it is a low normal design or rapid rise, which, well, annoys me, as you can imagine. So I want to replace it with this little thing. And you should obviously ask, how come I'm going to be using a short cage derailleur with a capacity of 17 teeth when the cassette alone has 17 teeth of capacity? So I'm going to be using the entire capacity on the cassette, and I still have to take into account that I have a two chain rings here, 36-26 by the way. Well, the reason is simple. I'm going to be using a trick which I call 1.5 by, and you're going to see why I like it so much in a minute. But for now, let's install the cassette. Alright, so here's the setup. I had to lengthen the chain by 2 links. I used the oldest trick in the book, which is use 2 power links and a different piece of chain. As you can see, I am a hacker because I used a different chain or even a different brand. This is Shimano, this is KMC. So let's have a spin, shall we? Alright, so works pretty well. And now the explanation why I'm using the short cage. The reason is very simple. The shorter the cage, the more secure the drivetrain becomes, because obviously the longer the cage, the more chain the derailleur can take up, but also the more chain, when you're bouncing on a terrain, the more chain is going to slacken. So shorter the cage, less problems with chain drops. And I don't like chain drops, so when I'm using short cage, I essentially don't have this problem. However, how am I sidestepping the issue of this having just 17 teeth of capacity? First of all, Shimano is lying, or omitting the certain facts, because they always specify the derailleur to have the capacity of the widest cassette they sell it with. Caprio is meant for a 11.926 cassette, so equivalent to 11.28 like here. So they just specified this as a 17 teeth capacity. All Shimano shadow type derailleurs, such as this one with the shortest cage, have an actual capacity of approximately 25 teeth, depending on how you put them on the hanger using the billing, or in case of Saint, using the mode converter. The trick with the Z and the DH and FR mode is that the DH is positioned like this Caprio and the FR mode is slightly rotated in this direction, so there is a more space for chain to do its thing or to fit under the derailleur. Point being, you have 25 teeth of capacity to play with, and what I am doing is that on the big ring I allow myself to use the whole cassette like this, which means that when I ride I am essentially always on the big ring. However, when I go to a steep climb and I'm on the lowest gear, I switch to the granny, and this is where the magic happens. This derailleur is able to tension 5 biggest cogs on the cassette without issue. So when I climb, I can use all those gears. Now I am in the 4th gear and this is slack. However, the combinations of small are not to be used. So with a little bit of a trigger discipline I get a short cage and all the benefits with the range of a 2x9. And this is how I set up all of my bikes. So now you know why I have a short cage fetish. Now, I'm going to test it in a few days. I'm going to enjoy it immensely, and I hope you like this little presentation. And I think I'm going to elaborate on the setup I'm using, because it allows me to laugh at all the people who run 1x12, because they have this little thing, and by little I mean immensely big, that scrapes the trail. This is a 26-inch bike with this amount of ground clearance. So, I hope you find this entertaining. I hope to see you in the next video. Share, like the video, subscribe to the channel, use the notification bell, and I'm going to admire my work now. See you on the next video.